Imagine opening your mailbox to find the federal government demanding thousands of dollars back for a mistake they made.
Oh, man. It's a moment that can induce just pure panic.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are looking at a huge stack of sources all about the Social Security Administration, or the SSA, and their overpayments.
Right.
And our mission today is very specific. We want to arm you with the exact tools, the forms, and, the strict deadlines you need to protect your hard-earned money from these aggressive government clawbacks.
Because you really do have to fight back. I mean, if you were sitting on a fixed income getting a crisp official letter that basically says, hey, we messed up our own math, so now you pay us back immediately. I mean, that's the kind of shock that can turn your whole life upside down.
Exactly. And the rules of engagement here, they've been giving people total whiplash lately.
Yeah, big time.
Just look at what happened in early 2025. It shows exactly why citizens have to stay vigilant. The massive federal bureaucracy over at the SSA decided they were going to start grabbing a full 100% of a person's monthly check to recover these debts.
Which was just a staggering policy overreach. I mean, taking the entire check.
Right. They were just going to wipe out people's entire monthly income until the debt was paid off.
Yeah.
But public pressure reached a boiling point, and by April 2025, the agency was basically forced to drop that rate down to 50%.
Yeah, but let's really think about what that 50% actually means in the real world.
It's still a disaster.
Exactly. Obviously, losing half your check is better than losing the whole thing. But if you rely on that fixed income just to survive, losing half of it because some government computer made a calculation error, that is a fast track to absolute financial ruin.
It's classic big government, right?
Yeah.
The bureaucracy makes the error, but the taxpayer pays the price.
Oh.
It's like a restaurant forcing you to pay for a meal you never even ordered. So if you're holding one of these demand letters right now, how do you even begin to stop this bureaucratic bulldozer from flattening your finances?
Well, to stop the bulldozer, you really have to understand the machinery driving it. And that machinery runs entirely on rigid deadlines.
Okay.
The clock starts ticking the very second that letter is dated. You are dealing with two critical windows, the 30-day window and the 60-day window.
Wait, so the clock is ticking the second the letter is printed, not when I actually get it in the mail.
Right, from the date on the notice. So your very first move needs to hit that 30-day window. If you file an appeal or a waiver within 30 days, you freeze the collection process.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a huge shield. The government cannot touch a single dime of your check while they review your case. Your benefits stay at 100%.
So just by raising my hand within a month and officially saying I disagree, I completely stop the bleeding.
Exactly. You halt their automatic garnishment. And, technically there's an even tighter window. If you file within 10 days, your benefits continue completely unchanged while they decide. But that 30-day mark is your primary shield.
Okay, that makes sense. So what happens if we hit the 60-day mark?
The 60-day window is, it's the absolute legal boundary. You had exactly 60 days, plus they give you 5 extra days for mail delivery to formally file your appeal.
And if I miss it?
If you miss it, you lose your legal right to argue the debt entirely. It becomes final.
Wait, I lose my right completely. What if the letter got lost in the mail? Or I was in the hospital?
Well, the only way around that hard deadline is if you can prove what they call good cause for being late.
How does the government define good cause, though? I bet they're not very forgiving.
No, not at all. They look for extreme documented circumstances. We're talking about a severe illness where you were hospitalized, a death in your immediate family, something like your house burning down.
Good grief.
Yeah, they do not accept, I forgot, or the letter was confusing. If you don't have a massive excuse and you miss day 65, you are permanently stuck paying the government back.
I just have to point out the extreme hypocrisy here.
Oh, for sure.
If a federal agency takes months or even years to process our paperwork, they get a total pass. But if an everyday citizen misses a 60-day window by a single day, they seize your money.
It is entirely one-sided. And, that actually brings up a really vital point about how you should file this paperwork. Because the government operates so slowly and the post office loses things all the time, you have to use digital tools to fight back.
Right, because if I put a paper letter in the mail on day 58, how do I prove they even got it before the deadline?
You basically can't, which is why relying on standard mail is incredibly dangerous. The best method our sources recommend is using the My Social Security online portal.
Why is the online portal so much better?
Because of the digital timestamps. When you use their evidence upload tool, it generates a legally binding cryptographic receipt directly inside their own servers.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, you get an instant receipt. When you're dealing with a massive agency, you need undeniable proof that you beat their deadlines. They literally cannot argue that they didn't get it if their own computer generated the receipt.
Personal responsibility. You have to establish a paper trail because they aren't going to look out for you.
Exactly. Now, if you absolutely have to use paper, you must use certified mail with a return receipt, or you physically walk into the local SSA office and refuse to leave until they hand you a date-stamped copy.
Love that. Okay, so step 1 is clearly beating the clock and getting a receipt. Step 2 seems to be picking the right form. Looking at our sources, I see 2 completely different paths. There's Form 561 and Form 632.
Right.
If the government says I owe them money, why does it matter which form I use to say no?
It matters immensely because they do 2 totally different things. Let's unpack Form SSA 561 first. This is the request for reconsideration.
Okay, so when do I use 561?
You use 561 when you are challenging their facts. You're basically saying, hey, your math is plain wrong. Like, I don't owe this, or I owe way less than you claim.
But how does a federal agency even get the math wrong in 2026? Aren't computers doing all this?
They are, but they rely on automated data matching that pulls from flawed sources. For example, their system might pull a W-2, but due to a coding glitch, it double counts your income for the same exact month.
Unbelievable.
Or they use outdated records showing you worked full-time when you were actually on medical leave. They process millions of files, so these automated systems create errors constantly.
So if I spot an error, I just send in Form 561 and say, your computer double counted my pay.
Well, you have to do more than just say it. The form is really just a cover sheet. You have to bring the receipts.
Like hard evidence.
Exactly. You must attach specific pay stubs, tax returns, or bank records that definitively prove their ledger is wrong. You have to do the work to prove the government made a mistake.
Okay, so Form 561 is proving the cashier gave you the wrong change. But what if they are actually right? What if I do the math and I realize, okay, they did overpay me by $2,000 last year, but I already spent that money paying my rent. Am I just out of luck?
Not at all. And that exact scenario is why Form SSA 632 exists. This is the request for waiver.
So how is a waiver different?
With a waiver, you aren't fighting the math. You admit they overpaid you, but you are asking the government to just forgive the debt entirely and let you keep it.
Why would the government just forgive a debt?
You have to prove 2 very specific things. First, you have to prove you are entirely without fault.
What does that mean practically?
It means you didn't lie, you didn't commit fraud, and you reported any life changes on time. Like, let's say you took a part-time job and you immediately called them to report it.
Right.
But the SSA agent filed it wrong, or their system took 6 months to update, so they kept sending you full checks. You did everything right. The overpayment is entirely the government's fault. That satisfies the first requirement.
That makes total sense. So what's the second thing I have to prove?
The second part is proving that repaying the money would cause you severe financial hardship. The legal phrase is it would defeat the purpose of the program.
Meaning I wouldn't be able to buy groceries or pay rent.
Exactly. It means taking the money back would leave you unable to afford basic survival expenses like food, shelter, or medical care.
Do I have to send them all my electric bill to prove that?
Normally, yes. Form 632 can be incredibly tedious. You have to list every dollar coming in and going out. But, and this is huge, our sources reveal a massive loophole here.
A loophole, let's hear it.
If you currently receive certain needs-based assistance, the government automatically assumes you can't afford to repay it. They skip the entire budget review.
Wait, really? What kind of assistance?
If you get SNFP, food stamps, or if you get SSI for low-income individuals, also things like TNF, need-based VA pensions, or Medicare Part D, extra help.
So if I'm on food stamps, I just check a box,
Yeah.
and they automatically concede the hardship part.
Yes. You completely bypass the budget paperwork. And there's one more protection. Even if you don't get those specific benefits, if your total household income is under 150% at the federal poverty level, the SSA automatically assumes you need all your income to survive.
That is massive. People probably spend hours digging up old utility bills when they could just point out they are under that 150% poverty line.
Oh, absolutely. It saves so much time. It's a critical shortcut.
Okay, so we've got the deadlines. We know 561 is for bad math, and 632 is for claiming hardship. But what if the government only wants a relatively small amount back, like, say, $1,500? Do I really have to wade through all this federal red tape?
Actually, no. There are some powerful fast tracks built into the system for smaller amounts, like the $2,000 administrative waiver.
The $2,000 administrative waiver, how does that work?
If the government claims you owe $2,000 or less and you are not at fault, there's a fast track. You can often just call the SSA directly at their main line, 1-800-772-1213, and secure a verbal waiver right over the phone.
Wait, a simple phone call can make the federal government back off without a mountain of paperwork.
Yeah, it comes down to pure economics. It literally costs the massive federal bureaucracy more money in agent hours and paperwork processing to chase a $1,500 debt than the debt is actually worth.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a rare instance of government efficiency. They waive it to save themselves money. Citizens need to exploit that rule to protect themselves.
That is fascinating. Okay, what about really old debts? What if they say I owe them for a mistake they made 5 years ago?
That brings up the 2-year rule. It's a type of statute of limitations. For SSI, the government generally cannot claw back money for their own errors if the errors are more than 2 years old.
And what if I get regular retirement checks, not SSI?
For regular Title II benefits, the limit is generally 4 years.
Okay, so if it's been 5 years, I am totally safe from the government coming after me.
Well, no. There is a very dangerous catch here.
Of course there is.
That time limit only applies to when the SSA first discovers the error.
Wait, what does that mean?
It limits discovery, not collection. If they spot the error inside that 2-year or 4-year window and send you a notice, they maintain the legal right to chase you for that money indefinitely.
You've got to be kidding me. So if they find a mistake from 2024 today, they can still be garnishing my check in 2040.
Exactly. There's no time limit on collecting it once they establish it, which is why you have to fight it immediately using that 30-day window.
Let's play out the absolute worst-case scenario. Say I do everything right, I submit the digital forms, I prove my case, but the bureaucracy just denies my appeal anyway. Am I stuck letting them take 50% of my fixed income?
No. Never settle for the 50% garnishment if it ruins your finances. You have a final safety net called the 10% fallback.
How does that work?
If you lose your waiver, you can submit Form SSA 634. You can negotiate a payment plan down to a 10% withholding rate.
Can I get it even lower than 10%?
Yes. If you prove extreme hardship, you can negotiate it down to a tiny fraction, sometimes just $10 a month.
That's incredible. From losing half your income to just handing them $10 a month.
Yeah, but you have to actively submit the form and ask for it. If you stay silent, the government defaults to taking 50%.
Well, we have covered a ton of ground today. We unpacked the aggressive 50% clawback policy. We mapped out the critical 30 and 60-day deadlines to freeze collections.
Right, and we detailed the difference between fighting their bad math with Form 561 and claiming hardship with Form 632.
We also exposed those vital shortcuts. The $2,000 fast track where a phone call clears a small debt and the 10% fallback.
The biggest takeaway here is personal ownership. Never blindly assume a government agency's math is correct. These automated systems make errors constantly. Never ignore notice or they will take your money. Stand up and use these tools.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. We just spent this whole deep dive talking about how a massive federal agency constantly overpays citizens by billions of dollars due to its own outdated systems. And then aggressive tries to claw it back.
Yep.
If the government struggles this much just to manage basic ledgers without causing financial panic for everyday people, what does that tell you about their ability to effectively manage our healthcare or the broader economy? Keep questioning the systems around you. Keep fighting for your rights, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.